Now, it wasn't unanimous, but as promised, the Federal Communications Commission voted to get rid of net neutrality in the U.S., a controversial decision which could have a profound impact on how Americans use the internet. So what is net neutrality? Back in 2015, in the U.S., regulations were put in place demanding internet service providers give Americans equal access to all websites. In other words, they couldn't play favorites, speeding up access to some sites or slowing down others. But now they can. With those regulations gone, some big companies could pay for access to their sites to be faster, while smaller companies may not be able to afford that. Loading their sites might just get slower. Court challenges have already been launched, and Congress may have a say as well. But in the meantime, U.S. net neutrality regulations are gone. And even though there are no plans to do away with similar rules here, many Canadians are still worried. Renee Filipponi shows us why.
Of course, smartphones also completely change our ability to access information.
Simple animations used to explain complicated science. This wildly popular YouTube site started with just two guys in Toronto and an idea.
When we started ASAP Science, it was literally like in our parents' basement. That's how it did work. We were uploading from the laptops that we use in university. We were using not a fancy camera.
Now they have more than 7 million subscribers. More than half are American. Having equal access to that massive market is how they got so big. Gregory Brown worries without net neutrality, others won't have the same chance.
I think, net neutrality is something that we relied on to start our business. It is why we were able to create something on the internet and have it flourish. Now it's a substantial thing, but at the time when we started it, it wasn't. And if net neutrality didn't exist, we wouldn't have been able to create this.
And it's not only about creating, it's about consuming for Canadians too.
Many of the services that we consume the most of, your Spotify's, your Netflix's, your Google, are all American companies. And those companies are going to find themselves in a position now where they'll be arranging financial deals with the big cable companies like Comcast and Verizon in order to ensure preferential access for their materials on the internet. And of course, that cost will be passed along downstream to consumers who subscribe to those services, including subscribers in Canada.
Take one.
Vancouver's Out TV is one of those companies that may have to pay to play. It produces content which is both broadcast on cable and streamed online. The U.S. is its biggest market too.
We are providing content in the U.S. We have a new show, for example, that now has 1.6 million streams in the U.S., and it's the largest market for our content in the world.
He worries in order to ensure viewers get equal access to their content, it will come at a price. And despite Ottawa's position in support of net neutrality, Brad Dank says things can always change.
Net neutrality protects everybody but a few people in a few companies. You know, for all of us, it's good for freedom of speech, but it's also good for good economics because it really helps entrepreneurship and innovation.
And while broadband providers in Canada say they support an open internet, the door is now open in the U.S. to change how the internet is delivered. Renee Filipponi, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, so telecom giants in the U.S. could soon be judging, pricing, and prioritizing what customers do on the internet to maximize their profits and serve their purposes. Several countries already work that way. Take the Philippines. Your internet here on the phone, is it fast or is it slow?
Slow.
The net there isn't fast, it isn't cheap, and it certainly isn't neutral. Facebook, for one, made a deal with mobile providers there to offer its service for free, so you don't have to pay for data to use it. Great, you might think, except it means Facebook dominates the market and its algorithms dominate the discussion. When we were there in the spring, it was flooded with fake news, for example, in part about a political opponent of the Philippine president. Users were just left to guess what was real. Are they both real? Are they both fake?
I think they're both fake.
It's real or it's
yeah,
fake?
it is. About the limit is. Sometimes I feel like it's fake.
But if they wanted to find out for sure, go beyond Facebook to fact check, well, that would have cost extra, so a lot just don't bother. And there's the danger to democracy. Lies get planted and take root. To have the potential to make some facts more expensive is a lot of power.